guys, I hope you can all hear me okay. If I'm shouting, somebody just give me the Ross signal, tell me to just tone it down a little bit. So, welcome to my speech. It's Be More Comedian. I'm Rhian Harries. I'm Creative and Strategy Director at Sticky. And at Sticky, we're all about audience behaviour. So everything that I'm going to talk to you today is about observing audience behaviour and doing it in a slightly different way. So I'm not a data hater. I'm not, honestly. I know there's a lot of data companies here. Not a data hater, but as a strategist, I'm a big believer in looking at things outside of the data in order for us to see the whole story. One of the ways in which I do that is to look to comedians. Now, you cannot tell me that any comedian took all their jokes and inspiration from the data. They just didn't. They didn't do it. They didn't. So I'm going to start you by looking at one of my favourite comedians, and you'll start to see what I mean.
5 hours later, you're in some horrendous nightclub. Sinatra's or Cinderella's, some hellhole. You're drunk now, and you feel you've got a crazy story for everybody. And you walk up to people. You go, do you know what? I didn't even come out. I only popped out. Now look at me. I'm out. I think the reason you feel so compelled to keep telling this rather long-winded story, because you're standing there in your carpet slippers. With a pint of milk and a cut loaf.
Now, many of you might have seen that sketch before, but it is a beautiful illustration of observing human behaviour. How many of us here today, and I want to show of hands, out? Who's out? Anybody? Hands up if you're out? Or are you out? I intend to be out straight after this speech. I am hitting those martinis hard. So, really beautiful observation of human behaviour, and that's become part of our rhetoric in everyday conversation. It was even changed in lockdown to become, are you staying in? Like we had a fucking choice. We were in anyway. Now, comedians for me are all of these things. They are data analysts, strategists, creatives, and pitch teams, all in one. And if you do any of these roles, you should be proud of yourself because you all form part of their inspiration. There is nothing more amazing than brand you and your behaviour. How we react to things, what we do on a daily basis is totally irrational and unexplainable, and that's what makes us amazing. Nothing beats the authenticity of you, and you should celebrate all that behaviour. Data can tell us some of the things, but it can't tell us why you did it. It can tell you why you answered it at the right time, but it won't tell you how you got to that point. I want you to be more comedian, so I want you to follow these top tips. Listen and observe. Now, anybody know this chap? Rob Mayhew holds a mirror up to our industry beautifully. If anyone's seen him, I'm just going to play this sketch for you and see if anybody recognises him. I'm slightly worried that he sits in my office.
You calling? Thank you. All right, bye. Yeah, we didn't win it. I told you. Yeah, close second though. It's not bad. Can you send an email out? Yeah. Didn't want it anyway, to be honest. The brief was all over the place. Who won? ex-Archie. Yeah, friends with the client. Exactly. They won't get any briefs this year. They won't, honestly. We should have had longer to respond, though, to the pitch. The other agents, they had an extra few days, I think. Yeah, they got the brief on the Thursday before. Yeah. And the other they went after us, as well. That's like the prime spot, isn't it? And also, they're much cheaper. Yep, I've seen their rate card, much cheaper. Yeah, it's a relief, actually, if anything, it's a relief. I think we dodged a bullet. Did you go Groucho?
Absolute legend. I don't know how many people have seen him. I was hoping he was going to be here today because I'm an absolute fangirl. He's been at Cannes, he's now a celebrity in his own right. But he does bring to light our behaviour in the office every day. And how many people on their way to work send this message to a mate having watched it? I feel seen. I feel like he's seen everything that I do. That's my strategist coming back to me to say, oh my God, I feel the same, totally feel the same. They connect with their audience in such a unique way. This is why I want you to be inspired by them. Now, remember to speak the language of your audience. It's really important, and this is what comedians do really well, is to learn to speak the language of their audience. Now, we have a brand called Barefoot Wine. You might have heard of them, that we work with. Absolutely amazing brand. Now, they came to us and said, we'd like to produce a TVC that centres around our tasting notes. And we looked at them and said, I'm not sure that your audience like tasting notes. They certainly don't talk to each other about tasting notes. They certainly don't go, I get a whoosh of hollyhocks as I try this wine. We wanted to taste them, have a look at the audience. Is that really how they talk? And these are some real life examples. Nothing has been created for comedic effect. These are people who've worked out how to put a sports cap on a bottle of wine so that you can drink it faster. Absolute friggin' geniuses they are. Notice that it's been shared by Mum Life, keeping it real. For the mums and parents in the audience, I think it's a hack that we might need to follow. They are the sorts of people who love to vajazzle a bottle for their BFF, because that is love. Absolute love. That's time and dedication that they've put into that. And for those of you, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry, but yes, they are the people who like to spend time with their feet in their wine. Sexy feet. Now, this tells us lots about our audience, but it definitely tells us that they're not into tasting notes. So we had to compromise. We had to turn tasting notes into occasions. And this is how it worked.
Barefoot Wine. From melodies of plush berries to hints of zesty citrus. But also a bouquet of epic birthday and end of a long day. Hints of big wins. And let the game begin. Full body? You got it. And ooh, that smooth date night finish. Barefoot, for those who really know their wines.
And there's proof in the pudding. So that advert went out during Love Island. Now, I didn't see it because I can't watch Love Island. I'm really sorry. It just makes me feel really insecure. All those tiny bikinis that are on back to front, not sure where to look. But we saw a 30% rise in brand awareness, followed by a 33% rise in likelihood to purchase. So for us, talking to the audience in the right language was an absolute winner. Now, one of the things that comedians do really well is they empathise. They empathise with their audience to the extent that they can put themselves in your shoes. Now, empathy and authenticity is something that we hear all the time. So I implore you to be empathetic. Think about those times when you are travelling on a plane. How do you feel when you see that image? Are you the parent in this conversation? Are you dreading your child kicking off on the plane? Or are you like my friends who I observed travelling back from France the other day, who she kind of wanted to connect with her audience because she wanted to share. But did she really? Did she want to connect? This is my lovely friend serving real fuck off vibes on the way home. Now, she doesn't want to connect, but she shared it, so she wants people to be empathetic with her cause. Absolutely beautiful example of human behaviour. Could you get any more antisocial if you tried? Beautiful example of it. Now, one of the things comedians do, and they do it so brilliantly, is that they push the boundaries. How many times have you been to see a show where that comedian says something that just makes you clench your bum and intake breath as they say it? Just that little, oh, I can't believe they went there. I want you to be more like that as creatives, as thinkers, and just push the boundaries. Now, some of what I'm going to show you in the next few slides is taken from real observations of human behaviour. And I want you to be more curious when you do this with your own brands and with your own agency. So we set a challenge for our team during lockdown, and we've continued that challenge throughout the time that we've been reopened, or the world reopened. Now, we asked them to just make some simple observations about human behaviour and take some pictures of what they'd seen. We sent them all in so that we could chat about them, talk about how people connected with them. We started off with this lovely one. Completely outstyled by his dog Bo is the lovely Sandy from our team. Just that beautiful connection between a man and his dog. We had the beautiful and absolutely typifying of uniting a nation by a simple act of drawing a heart on the COVID wall. Lovely, lovely moment, a shared behaviour we can all appreciate, we can connect with it, very, very significant. This is my designer and his neighbour. Clearly his neighbour's got an issue, wants to be very deeply connected to him, and is quite territorial about their parking space. Brilliant. absolutely inspired bit of human behaviour. Another one for you. How do you know that you found your place, the right place to be? Well, simple signs like this give us the code that your behaviour is only acceptable if you do all of these things. And I'm sorry, but if you do like pineapple on your pizza, would you please leave now? I cannot deal with pineapple on my pizza. It's just not my thing. Let alone that, we had possibly the most interesting picture that appeared in the setup. And I'm sorry, but it was real. It happened. One of our team was out for a bike ride. As they docked their bike, they turned right, and this appeared next to them. Now, I'm not quite sure what happened here. I don't know if this was E.T. and he never made it home and Elliot left him in his bike, or what happened to it. So many questions I want to know about the person that went for a bike ride with their dildo. So many questions. And I implore you to find out why. And I'm really sorry, IT, but I did Google it. I Googled it to find out a bit more information. I was careful with my words. You don't want to search dildo on a bike. I warn you now, turn your settings off. And this is what I got. Actually, what happened is during lockdown, there were a lot of protests using phalluses around the globe. This was one of them. So an artist in Venice decided that he wanted to put together this statement about the problems with the tourist industry in Venice and the fact that we were hoping it would rise again. It's a very literal interpretation of rising again, so a bit grotesque. What I also found, which I found really interesting, was this guy causing a stir on Strava. Now, brilliant example of human behaviour. He's wandering around and he's been running the routes of phalluses for the entire time because he's raising awareness of prostate cancer. Really credible reason for his behaviour. Really interesting way of connecting with that audience. Now, last and final point for you is, now I said I wasn't a data hater, and I'm not, because comedians use data and they do it by measuring your laughs. At your progress shows, everything that you go to, they are measuring how many things you react to, why you laugh, what you do. So always test and learn with your material. So finally, remember to be more comedian and do all of the following things. Listen, observe, speak their language, empathise, push boundaries, be more curious, and test and learn. Thank you very much for your time. Sorry if I offended anyone. Come and work with us. We're just over here behind you, so come and say hi.
Rhian, thank you so much. That was excellent. So.